I missed the last train home at 11:58 p.m. The station was almost empty, lights flickering slightly, as if even the building was tired. According to the schedule, everything should have shut down by midnight, but that night something fell off. When the clock hit 12 a.m. exactly, a train arrived without any announcement. There was no destination displayed on the front, no sound of a driver, and no passengers inside. The doors opened slowly, almost like they were waiting for me, specifically. A broken speaker crackled and said, "Final service. All stations ahead." I should have walked away. I didn't. I stepped inside, and the door shut behind me with a heavy metallic sound that echoed through the empty carriage. The inside of the train felt too clean, too silent, and too endless. There were no ads on the walls, no emergency handles, and no driver visible through the front window. Just rows of seats stretching into darkness. The train started moving instantly, without warning or vibration, as if it was never attached to any normal railway system. Outside the window, the tunnel looked wrong, too dark, too deep, like it didn't belong to the real world. Then a screen above the doors flickered on and displayed. Next station, unknown. After a few minutes, the train began to slow down, but there was no station lighting outside. A platform suddenly appeared out of the darkness, like it was being remembered rather than built. The sign outside read, "Sadikabad Central, closed 1998. My heart dropped because I knew there was no subway system like this in my city. The doors opened anyway, letting in a freezing wind. I heard footsteps on the platform, many of them rushing closer. But when I looked outside, there was nothing there except a single bench. A child was sitting on it, staring directly at me without blinking. The doors closed immediately before I could react. I was no longer alone. A man was suddenly sitting across from me, though I never saw him enter. He looked exhausted and refused to meet my eyes. When I asked him what this place was, he whispered, "Don't acknowledge the stops." Confused, I pressed him for answers, but when he finally turned to look at me, his eyes were wrong, like endless tunnels reflecting inside them. He said quietly, "This train doesn't go forward. It goes deeper." At that moment, the lights flickered violently and the train accelerated, faster than before, as if something had noticed us talking. The screen above the doors started glitching uncontrollably, repeating "next" over and over. The train began stopping at the same station repeatedly, the same empty platform, the same bench, but each time, something changed. The child was closer every time, first sitting, then standing, then suddenly right against the glass, smiling without moving. The man beside me had vanished without a trace, leaving only a warm seat behind. The announcement came again, but this time it sounded like my own voice, saying, "Final service, no return." The train came to a complete stop. The lights went out. In total darkness, the doors opened one last time. Cold air rushed in, and outside the train was a final station with no name, only a glowing word on the wall: "Nowhere." I heard footsteps all around me, but not outside the train, inside it, behind me. I didn't dare turn around. In the reflection of the window, I saw myself still sitting calmly, while something stood behind me. The doors closed, and the train began moving again. But I didn't move with it. And sometimes, if you miss the last train home, you don't miss it at all. You just become part of the route. It was just after midnight in London when I moved into my new flat. The building was old, cheap, and strangely quiet, almost too quiet for a city like London. The landlord handed me the keys and, before leaving, warned me in a serious tone, "Don't use the lift after midnight." I laughed it off at the time, thinking it was just an old superstition, something landlords say to scare tenants. But that night, I would realize he wasn't joking at all. At 12:07 a.m., I stepped out of my flat to get some water. The corridor outside was completely empty, with flickering lights overhead casting unstable shadows along the walls. It felt like the building was barely awake, breathing slowly through silence. I walked toward the lift, expecting nothing unusual, but the moment I arrived, I noticed something strange. The lift doors were already open. The display above it showed a single number, 7, but I was on the 6th floor, and this building only had 6 floors. I hesitated for a moment, feeling uneasy, but nothing else was happening around me. No footsteps, no voices, just that open lift waiting like it had been there specifically for me. Slowly, I stepped inside. The doors closed instantly behind me with a heavy metallic sound. Inside the lift, nothing worked except one glowing button, 7. I didn't press it, but the lift started moving upward on its own, silent and smooth, without any vibration or mechanical sound. After a few seconds, it stopped. The doors opened, and I found myself back on my floor, the 6th floor. The same corridor stretched in front of me, but something fell off. My apartment door was slightly open, just a small gap, as if someone had entered without permission. A cold feeling ran through my body, but before I could move, the lift doors closed again behind me and began moving upward once more. This time, the display only showed 7. I shook my head, whispering to myself that there was no 7th floor in this building, but the lift didn't care. It stopped again and opened its doors, revealing a long, dark corridor that I had never seen before. It stretched too far, longer than any normal floor should allow. At the end of the corridor, a single flickering light buzzed weakly above a figure standing still, watching me. Then I heard it, knocking sounds coming from inside my own apartment. Suddenly, a whisper came from behind me inside the lift. "You shouldn't have come up." I turned quickly, but no one was there. However, in the lift mirror, I saw myself standing normally, and behind me, something else was breathing too close, too real. The lift shook violently and then dropped suddenly, but the display didn't go down. It kept flashing 7, 7, 7, like it was stuck in a loop. We weren't going down anymore. We were trapped in something else entirely. The doors opened again, but the corridor outside was darker now, almost completely swallowed in shadow. The light at the end had disappeared, leaving only my apartment door, now wide open. Something inside it was waiting. The lift speaker crackled, and this time the voice wasn't robotic anymore. It sounded exactly like me, saying, "Final floor." I stepped out slowly, and the moment I did, the lift doors slammed shut behind me and vanished completely. The corridor stretched endlessly now, longer than before, as if the building itself was changing shape around me. My apartment door was still open, but it kept moving farther away every time I tried to approach it, like the distance itself was alive. Then I heard the whisper again, right beside my ear. "You were never on the 6th floor." When I looked around, the entire corridor was gone. There was no 6th floor, no 7th floor. Only the lift standing in front of me again, its doors open, waiting silently. And I don't remember stepping inside, but I remember the numbers changing.